So as bad as things seem right now, remember this. It's not only the left that sees this craziness. We had Stephen Miller, an actual out, proud white nationalist. He'd be ashamed of ever having held such beliefs, but this guy is proud of his white nationalism. Tucker Carlson's talking about white nationalism. Why is that a bad thing? I'm just asking questions. On national television. Things are bad. But don't take the, what do they call it, the black pill? Don't engage in doomerism. Because we're not the only ones that see it. And the only time we get a definite, real update on what America's been looking at is every 2 years during elections. Well, guess what? America sees what's going on. Here's CNN, a rather right-leaning these days news channel, giving us a little more detail about it.
Dueling decisions on one of the main drugs used in medication abortions. First came the ruling by a federal judge in Texas scrapping FDA approval for the drug mifepristone. But less than an hour later, a federal judge in Washington state ruled to protect access to the drug in 17 Democratic-led states and the District of Columbia. Those two decisions are the most significant abortion rulings since the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade, as we all remember, last summer. It sets the stage for abortion rights to be a leading issue in the 2024 campaign. And talking about this more with us, joining us now, CNN's senior political analyst John Avlon and CNN political commentator and host of PBS Firing Line, Margaret Hoover. Guys, great to see you as always. We appreciate it. John, this issue really motivated Democratic voters.
I saw they were wolfing around a little before the segment got started properly. Having fun. Good for them.
In 2022. But it seems to be a battle that a lot of conservatives want to keep having, even though it might not be the best thing for their own political health. What do you think?
I think the message the voters keep seeming to send is it's the extremism, stupid. I mean, this is Republicans have a significant win from their perspective in removing a constitutional right to an abortion. But most voters look at this and say 70% of Americans believe it should be safe, legal, and rare, and basically in line with the previous status quo. And yet, taking the win, their judges keep taking down abortion pills, pushing for a national ban on abortion. That's the position that some maximalists in the Senate have taken, some people running for president. And so there's a sense that this goes against common sense and individual freedom in a fundamental way where people feel right has been taken away. So as long as Republicans keep pushing for a maximum.
One thing to remember, if you ever start to get bummed out, is this moment right, y'all. Let's compare it to the biggest win that lefties got that equates to this, the most similar win. What did they get? Gay marriage made legal. What did people's lives become after these decisions? In short, it breaks down to this. When the left wing gets a victory, people's lives get better. And the people that aren't happy about the victory, their lives don't get any worse. They don't. There's nobody in this country right now who can say, my marriage is cheap now. I don't even think my marriage matters because these two homosexuals got married down the street. I mean, I'm sure there's people that do say that, but they can't say it in good conscience. They know their marriage is fine. They feel no different about their own arrangement because a couple of gay people got married. However, when the right wing wins, people suffer. And in states right now where abortion has been criminalized because Americans' rights got taken away, people are having a miserable time. People are dying, as a matter of fact. When the right wing wins, they still lose because they advertise their ideology for the world to see. America gets a taste of what the right wing wants, and they do not support it anymore. Whereas when America gets a taste of what the left wing wants, it just becomes normal because it's fine. It helps people generally, at the very least, doesn't hurt anybody. When I say we will always win, that's why. And we will always win. The game for the lefties is just minimizing the hurt until our inevitable victory. Because, baby, we are going to win every time.
Position. You're going to see a pushback from folks who had previously been silent on the issue because they thought it was settled law, which it was, until 3 Supreme Court justices reversed themselves.
Yeah, and Margaret, I mean, last year it was described as the dog catching the car, but it seems like they want to keep catching the car.
Jim, there is no issue. I think even Donald Trump, where Republicans are more in denial about the negative effect this is having on the party and their viability to win elections at the state level, at the federal level. I mean, this issue, when Roe v. Wade was overturned, for example, and we went on to see really the bloodletting of the 2022 fall election cycle results, which should have been a tidal wave of Republicans into the House of Representatives and turned into what became 5. Not a single conservative editorial page, not a single conservative commentator was able to admit or recognize that, and we have now data to prove that it was the Roe v. Wade overturning, it was the Dobbs decision that overwhelmingly impacted the women coming to the polls, suburban women coming to the polls. And there are some Republicans who are willing to recognize that publicly, very few.
When Republicans win, people see what they were fighting over, and they don't like them anymore. They cease supporting those things. Whereas when Democrats win, support for what they were fighting for just gets stronger. Guitar Dog says Greg Abbott talks about freedom and small government, but won't let me buy legal weed. Brother, next Thursday, I am going to do a stream that is based around Proposition number 1 for 2018 in Michigan, which is how I wound up. I can't even show you the thing. Which is how your old pal Jake wound up with just the best sleeping aid I've ever had, which is a big old fatty at the end of the night. We're gonna celebrate big time, and whether it is legal yet in your state, it's inevitable. Whether it's legal yet in your state or not, I invite you to join the celebration in whichever way you feel is appropriate. It's next Thursday that we're going to have this stream. And I'm going to talk about, while very much impaired, I'm going to talk about sort of a challenge stream, how you can make weed legal in your neck of the woods. Actually, not as hard as you think. We got a ton in 2018, a ton of right-wing support. There's a strong case to be made. It is the modern oil. It's a massive financial boon to the state. We'll talk about it this Thursday. How's that for a plug?
Representative Nancy Mace from South Carolina, for example, or a pro-life Republican who's willing to say this position is killing the party. But there's a stranglehold on the party with this one issue. The special interest simply cannot let go of its chokehold. Yeah. And that's Republicans are going to keep losing if they're not able to meet the country where it is.
Yeah. And this John, is what pisses people off about politics. Yeah.
Yeah. And John, I mean, speaking of that, in a different state, In Tennessee, the decision to expel those 2 young black lawmakers for taking part in a...
Accosta looks baffled. Acosta's like, what is this? What's going on here with you two? I kind of got a little atmosphere here. I can't put my finger on it. What is this? But he's talking about serious stuff. All right, let's jump to it. By the way, when this came out, when this clip first came out, those 3 were at a low point. And now, baby, they back. Every one of them is back in the Tennessee legislature. We did a bit on this yesterday. We did a segment on this yesterday. Go have a look. They're back and they are stronger, returning literally in terms of the power they hold, like in terms of the written into law power that they hold. They are stronger than when they were kicked out. So that the Tennessee folks that booted them can go themselves. They brought it on themselves entirely. It's a delight to see.
Protest over gun regulations, gun reform. Representative Gloria Johnson, who is white, she survived expulsion by 1 vote. I tried to ask a fellow Democratic lawmaker earlier this hour about this. He didn't want to go down that road and say, well, it was because of race that these 2 were expelled while she was not. What do you think? I mean, it just doesn't, it certainly feels like that. It certainly played a role in it. It played a part in it. I mean, how can you deny it?
But that's what she said on CNN the other night.
Yeah.
So, I'll take her word for it. But again, it's an example of the self-defeating politics on the Republicans' part, where they've elevated these 2 young men. They'll probably be put back in the state legislature. There's a reasonable good chance for that. But it's also about this creeping reluctance to embrace representative democracy. I mean, you've got, in a city and a town and a state reeling in the wake of a horrific mass shooting at a school. And instead of taking any action at all, they try to punish the lawmakers who are protesting with the people outside. That's about shutting down debate, not being responsive to people's needs.
And for a party that's going to wrap itself in the Constitution, I mean, the Constitution and legislative branches, as designed by the founders, are by definition designed for the process of bargaining and negotiation, for having an opinion and having that opinion refuted. These lawmakers spoke their mind, had a peaceable protest, peaceably assembled, as the First Amendment says that you can, and their speech was shut down. They were punished for it. That is not how the Constitution is supposed to work. And
Are you saying it's not a free speech issue?
Okay, it's weird. It sounds like cancel culture, but to the extreme.
Yeah.
If you've been watching this show for a while, man, this shirt is something, huh? Good Lord. If you've been watching this show for a while, you'll be familiar with my theory on CNN, which is that they're taking advantage of what they see as a opportunity here. They're going to try to steal Fox's audience, but they're trying to steal Fox's audience from 2010. How can I adjust this? From like 2010. They're trying to grab the Republicans that are like the on the local community business board, like the town's business council. That's who they're looking to get. They're trying to get the people that genuinely believe in small government and yada 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 yada. And I'll tell you, good. Those folks should have opinion shows as well. I will probably end up disagreeing with most of those opinions, even though once upon a time I would have been all about it. But good. They should be able to get that perspective without also hearing QAnon insanity. So more power to you in that regard, CNN. Just don't start lying, or your old pal Jake's going to come at you. He's gonna come at you hard.
Right. I mean, I jest only because if I don't.
And the emotions were so raw. And the emotions were so raw in Nashville. I mean, one would think it would be easy to understand why some folks would want to protest, and some state lawmakers might want to join those protesters. I mean, that to me, I think, kind of got lost in this whole thing, is this terrible, terrible, awful tragedy that took place in Nashville. Of course, people are going to be fired up about that sort of thing. But I want to ask you
Wicked Foxy Dragon says, I think they call them rhinos now. Yeah. That wouldn't be a bad way to rebrand if the Democrats don't actually absorb those Republicans, which is what I think will happen. Yeah, they should call themselves the Rhino Party. This is kind of a kick-ass symbol to have, right?
One more thing, guys, and that is, I mean, there's
serious question. What animal should MAGA adopt when it makes its own party? Like a decrepit turkey?
so much that has happened since last Tuesday. It feels like maybe a couple of years ago, but it was just several days ago that Donald Trump became the first current or past president to be indicted and arraigned. And I just wonder, doesn't this continue to be good for Trump in the party, in the Republican Party, but terrible in the general election?
Well, it is. I saw my husband. I'm doing a side eye right here because I saw him make a funny look. The truth is, you're right, Jim. This is good for Trump in the party. It has solidified his front-runner status for the Republican nomination right at the moment. I mean, that's what's happened. He's raised $7 million in the last week. 25% at least of those dollars are new dollars. And the base of the Republican Party seems to really be rallying around him and doing an us against them, the Department of Justice, rule of law against Trump. It's a bizarre turn of events, but it's real.
Well, for now, it's a reaction. Yeah, it's a reaction. Let's be real about that. And to your point about, Trump's resurgence being, a poison pill for a general election, one CNN's new poll showing only 26% of independent voters approve of Donald Trump. Over 60% thought an indictment was justified. Only 8% said it had no merit at all. Those are independent voters who end up making the decisions in general elections. So, the party, he may thrive on the oxygen of attention, but if that moth keeps going to that flame, it's going to be burnt to a crisp.
Right. And with other potential indictments coming,
if that moth keeps going to that particular flame, it's going to be burnt to a crisp. Ooh, baby. Brutal and true. Delightful. Freedom, says Mars Falcon, means banning things my poor interpretation of this 2,000-year-old book make me hate to a right-wing American. Small government means nothing for the needy. Yes. There it is. Let's look at Franny P. Negative. All right. Yeah. It just absolutely going to be a horror show for Republicans in the coming days. What you can do, let's jump right to for the most part, what you can do is let them suffer. These are greedy con artists. These are thieves in the age of the internet, where information flows freely, and they will be seen for what they are. Now, individually, for these problems, we go down the line. We do segments every single day here on Wicked dealing with this. We'll attend to them. But for the most part, this is an update. What does America think of all this madness? America doesn't like it. So we're going to need to do our part when 2024 rolls around to get everybody out there. But in the meantime, there really are people that need abortions, that can't get them right now. If that's you, I don't give a damn if it's illegal or not in your state. To quote a wise man on the internet, if there are legal consequences for saying this, give me peace. Come on now, give me peace. Don't make me beg. Thank you, Fredo on TV. So, people who need medication abortion can use the link included in the description of this video to aidaccess.org, which will send you medication abortion. Again, I'm not sure if it's on a state-by-state basis that they'll not send it, but to my knowledge, the last I checked rather recently, within a couple of weeks, they will send it to any state. So, aidaccess.org. If you need an abortion or somebody you know needs an abortion, use the link in the description. And by the way, if you're from one of those states that wants to go after people legally for offering that, I reiterate, give me peace. I think we'll have fun with how that goes. Give it some thought.